Have you heard the phrase the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Although it's easier to say that people aren't working hard enough, there are many underlying issues that need to be taken into consideration. Today, we are going to look at one such issue which is mostly overlooked while having this conversation. In 2022, the inflation soared to 9%, the highest in past 40 years in US history. And because of this, the Fed started to increase the rates from 0 to 5% by 2023. Although this was aimed to cool down the economy, this changed the wealth graph of millions of citizens. This seems like a one time occurrence, but it's not. It has been happening around the world since a long time. In 2023, the data revealed that the inflation fell, but the inequalities increased. It hit the lower income groups disproportionately because there was stagnation in wages, higher borrowing cost, etc. But the wealthier groups were fine because they had most of their investments in assets and stocks. Fed use interest rate as a lever. Lower rates means easy borrowing, more spending, and encourage to investment. Higher rates means it's costly to borrow, squeezing out the money from the economy. This has been working fine until in 2023 there has been a report that there has been a significant increase in the difference in wealth between the top 1% and the bottom 50% of US households. As we can see, this is the graph of average Fed funds rate over the years. These are the graphs of interest rates and inflation over the years. The 9% inflation we talked about was in the June of 2022, which was CPI index compared to the previous June of 2022. So that's why it's not appearing here. But as you can see, the Fed's fund rate increased from almost zero to 5.024%. That means a person who was borrowing at 0% at the start of 2021 has to now borrow at around 5% by the end of 2022. Coming to the MDSP payments, that is the ratio of mortgage payments to disposable income, as we can see, despite many layoffs and stagnation in their incomes, the MDSP has increased after the rate cuts. Coming to this chart shows the bottom 50% of the population income compared to the world and top 1% income compared to the world. As we can see, there has been not much change over the years for top 1%, but the bottom 50% has increased significantly over the years. As we can see in this chart, the younger generation is the most affected one due to the debt payments, and the older generation one has the highest wealth creation because they are safeguarded by their assets. This is the graph of net worth of bottom 50% versus the top 0.1%. So, as we can see, even without the numbers, the trend clearly shows the difference between the top and the bottom 50%. And even after the rate hike, the increase of net worth for bottom 50% is only 8%, whereas for top 0.1%, it is 16%. All of this data reveals the tale of two economies, the younger generation and the lower income groups who are struggling with debt payments, renting, and not owning assets, and the top 1% and the older generation shielded by their assets and their stocks, benefiting from rate hikes. After looking at all the data and the backlash from the people, Fed has also been in a dilemma with balance in the economy and equitable distribution of the wealth. So, when the monetary policy and the macroeconomic data ignores all kinds of issues, the unrest among the people increases. So, as the future generation, we have to not only frame a policy that stabilizes the economy, but also the, a one which benefits people.